On a warehouse roof in Houston, Texas, there's a new kind of wind generator that doesn't have a single visible blade. It's not spinning. It's not making noise. It's not killing birds. And on a windy day, that single unit produces 50% more electricity than the solar panels covering the same square footage right next to it. Aeromine Technologies has installed working units on rooftops at BASF, IKEA, and several Fortune 500 facilities. So, why isn't this technology everywhere? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how bladeless wind actually works, where it crushes conventional wind and solar, and the engineering catch that limits it to specific use cases. Real quick, if you're the kind of person who wants the actual engineering behind energy headlines, not the marketing version, hit subscribe. New deep dive every week. And if this video earns it, a like helps more than you'd think. Now let's get into it. Here's why this matters. Cities consume about half the world's electricity, but they generate almost none of their own clean power. Conventional wind turbines need tall towers, open land, and no neighbors. Solar works on city rooftops, but it only generates electricity when the sun is shining. The urban energy gap, the gap between where electricity is consumed and where it's generated, is one of the biggest infrastructure problems in clean energy. Bladeless wind is the first technology in 30 years that genuinely fills that gap. If it scales, every commercial building in America becomes a potential power plant. That's why Honeywell, Sandia National Labs, and several Fortune 500 facility owners are paying serious attention. And here's the engineering reality almost nobody is willing to explain clearly. Let me set up the physics. Conventional wind turbines are limited by something called the Betz limit. It says you can extract at most 59.3% of the kinetic energy from wind passing through a turbine. To get useful output, you need long blades sweeping a large circular area, which means tall towers, far from people and obstructions. The economic minimum for utility wind is about 1 to 2 megawatts per turbine. Anything smaller doesn't make economic sense at scale. So 95% of wind power today comes from large 3-blade horizontal axis turbines in rural windy locations: Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Iowa, the offshore Atlantic. Cities don't have that geometry. Rooftop wind isn't viable with conventional designs. Multiple companies tried in the 2000s and 2010s with small rooftop turbines, and most failed. The output was too low. The noise was too high. Maintenance access on roofs was impossible. The story for 2 decades has been, wind energy is great, but only at utility scale, only in rural areas. That changed in 2022 when Aeromine Technologies came out of stealth with a fundamentally different approach. Around the same time, Vortex Bladeless in Spain started shipping production units of a completely different bladeless design. The urban wind problem suddenly had 2 credible engineering answers. That's where the engineering gets really interesting. Because there are now 4 parallel approaches to bladeless wind, each solving a different physics problem. The first is Aeromine's aerodynamic ducted approach. Picture an aerodynamic cone-shaped structure that sits on the edge of a flat commercial roof. Wind hits the outer cone and is channeled through internal ducts. The accelerated airflow inside the duct drives a small internal turbine that the viewer never sees. The exterior has no moving parts, no birds killed, no ice throw, no noise outside the building. The genius of Aeromine's design is that they use the building's own airflow patterns. Flat roof buildings create an updraft along the windward edge as wind flows up and over the roofline. Aeromine units sit on that edge and harvest the accelerated wind speed. They claim a single 5-foot-tall unit can generate up to 5 kilowatts in 25-mile-per-hour winds. For comparison, a typical commercial rooftop solar panel produces about 350 to 450 watts at peak. The 50% more than solar claim is based on real installations at BASF facilities and the Sands Convention Center in Las Vegas. The second approach is Vortex Bladeless from Spain. Different physics entirely. Their technology uses vortex shedding, the same phenomenon that famously destroyed the Tacoma Narrows Bridge in 1940. When wind flows past a cylindrical object, alternating, low-pressure zones form on each side. This creates oscillating forces on the object. Vortex Bladeless built a tapered cone-shaped mast that's tuned to oscillate at the frequency of vortex shedding from typical wind speeds. The mast wobbles back and forth, and that oscillation drives a small generator at the base. No spinning blades, no bearings, very quiet. Their current production model generates about 100 watts and is designed for off-grid and distributed applications. The third approach is Halcyon's PowerPod, a vertical axis design with the rotor enclosed inside an aerodynamic shroud. From outside, you see a stationary tube. Inside, a vertical rotor spins safely contained. This solves the bird kill problem and the noise problem while keeping more conventional rotor efficiency. The fourth approach is wind-catching systems in Norway. Not strictly bladeless, but radically different from conventional wind. They build floating platforms with hundreds of small turbines arranged in a grid. The combined system claims more energy per square meter of ocean surface than any conventional offshore wind farm. The first commercial prototype is being deployed in 2026. The common thread across all four: they trade peak energy efficiency for installation flexibility, lower noise, reduced wildlife impact, and the ability to put wind generation where conventional turbines simply cannot go. They're not trying to compete with utility-scale wind. They're trying to fill the distributed and urban gap that utility wind cannot. Quick question for you. Engineers in the chat, is the Aeromine Venturi duct approach actually 50% better than rooftop solar? Or is that marketing speak for in specific high wind conditions only? I want your read on whether building integrated wind beats building integrated solar in your home state. Drop your call below. Okay, here's where it gets complicated. 5 big catches. First, the 50% claim is real, but situational. Aeromine's numbers assume sustained 25 mph winds across the building face. Most U.S. locations have average wind speeds of 8 to 15 mph. Below 12 mph average, the math gets worse than solar. Above 18 mph consistently, which means coastal Texas, the upper Midwest, the Great Plains, parts of California, Aeromine starts to win significantly. Geography matters enormously. Second, scale. A single Aeromine unit is 5 kilowatts. To match a 1 megawatt solar farm, you need 200 units. The capital cost per kilowatt for Aeromine is currently 2 to 3 times conventional solar. The math improves dramatically over the system lifetime because wind blows at night and solar doesn't. But the upfront cost gap is real. Third, location. Vortex Bladeless and similar oscillating designs work best in moderate wind environments and at smaller scales. They scale poorly to multi-megawatt installations, useful for off-grid, telecom towers, and distributed rural applications, not utility scale. Fourth, the track record. There have been dozens of bladeless wind startups since 2010. Most failed within 5 years. The current generation, Aeromine, Vortex 2.0, Halcyon, is real, but expect the industry to consolidate hard over the next 5 years. Many will fail. Investors should bet on category, not specific companies. Fifth, the fundamental physics. The BETS limit says 59.3% max efficiency. Aeromine's claimed efficiency per unit of wind energy passing through is much lower than utility wind turbines. The advantage is in where you can put them, not in extracting more energy from the same wind. That distinction matters when you're calculating return on investment. All right, here's what I actually think. After 8 years working in renewable energy and watching every urban wind cycle for the last decade, this is my honest read on bladeless wind in 2026. 1. The technology is real, but the use case is narrow. Best applications: commercial rooftops in coastal and Great Plains states, off-grid sites, telecom infrastructure, and ports. 2. It won't replace utility-scale wind. The Betz limit and physics ensure 3-blade horizontal axis turbines stay dominant for utility scale through 2040 and probably beyond. 3. It will become a real layer of building integrated energy. Combined with rooftop solar, batteries, and heat pumps, bladeless wind enables genuinely net zero commercial buildings for the first time. The integration is the value, not the standalone. Economics. 4. Aeromine is the company to watch most closely, backed by Honeywell. Real installations at BASF, IKEA, and Las Vegas. If they raise a Series C and start mass producing units in 2026, they could become a billion-dollar company by 2030. The model also licenses well. Expect competitors using similar Venturi duct principles within 2 years. 5. My estimate for when bladeless wind becomes 5% or more of U.S. wind generation: 2035 to 2040. Slow but real. It will be a meaningful but not dominant clean energy layer. What would I do with this information? I'm watching 3 signals. Aeromine's first 1 megawatt customer with 200 plus units. The next Vortex bladeless production model with higher power output. And whether anyone solves the urban wind density problem. When you put lots of small wind units close together on a city block, they create wake effects that reduce each other's output. That's an unsolved engineering problem. I've been wrong about urban energy before. I thought building integrated solar would dominate by 2025, and it's still about 5% of the residential solar market. So I could be wrong here too. But the difference is that Aeromine is solving the building integration problem differently than solar did, by working with the building's own airflow patterns rather than fighting them. So here's what to remember. 1. Bladeless wind is real technology, with multiple working approaches now in commercial deployment. 2. The 50% more than solar claim is true, but only in specific high wind locations on commercial rooftops. 3. It won't replace utility scale wind, but it fills a real gap that has existed for 30 years. 4. Aeromine and Vortex bladeless are the credible commercial plays right now. 5. The biggest impact will be commercial rooftops and off-grid applications in good wind regions by 2030. If this changed how you see urban wind energy, or just gave you a clearer picture of what's happening, that like button is the only signal YouTube gives me that this kind of breakdown is working. Hit it. And if you've got a friend who keeps insisting urban wind is impossible, send them this video. The story has moved past that. Next week, I want to look at solid-state solar panels, the claim that they're going to replace silicon. The materials science is genuinely more interesting than either the cheerleaders or the skeptics are telling you. I'm Jack. I'll see you next week.